The Out of Bounds Show podcast is powered by the DeWalt tools at Ace Bolt and Screw. Visit acebolt.net for a location near you.
WRKS Pickens Jackson. Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio. We're back. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
What is that thing?
The Zone.
And Vanderbilt. Winner wins the national championship and will dogpile at the pitcher's mound. And so a lot of excitement here as Mississippi State answers after a rough game one in which they were taken out of it in the first inning. But they put it on the Vanderbilt Commodores, and everybody hit last night for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, including Lane Forsythe. And I know Mississippi State fans were excited to see Forsythe post a 3-hit game at the College World Series. So that was pretty cool. But Houston Harding was outstanding. Preston Johnson, super. And Scotty DeBrule drove in 4 RBIs to push State into a winner-take-all game at the CWS. Mississippi State is 49-18. And Vanderbilt is 49-17. So we'll get Will Bednar against Kumar Rocker. And Kumar is considered either the best or top 3, pitcher in college baseball. And, of course, the Major League Baseball scouts love him because his stuff is filthy. Obviously, Bednar, very well respected and considered one of the better starters in college baseball this year too. But it was a wild night. The fans were, and it was good to see them have the opportunity to celebrate. A lot of people had driven a long way, spent a ton of money. I was looking at the tickets last night, $570 a pop, $670 a pop, $700 and change. You want that juice. If you're going to travel this far, the hotel rooms are outrageous, tickets are outrageous, and this place is out in the middle of nowhere, and it is a long way from Mississippi. Want to welcome in Blake Mania to the show. I guess Blake is on the Modelo guest line. Blake, good morning. How are you?
A lot better than yesterday, though. A lot better than yesterday.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well,
that
game went like you wanted it.
Yeah, my voice isn't, but my mentality and my emotions are definitely a lot better.
Did you yell throughout the game?
Without question.
Cheer?
Oh, I was leading the upper 200 section on the first base side yesterday, without question.
I mean, you're wide open, aren't you, during the game?
Oh, let me ask you this, Bo. You've been around a lot longer than me. How many Game 3s of the World Series have you seen Mississippi State play in, right?
0.
This is it. It's as Tanner Allen said in the postgame. I mean, if you can't leave it all out there today, then you don't need to be on the baseball field. You know what I mean?
Well, that is true. And T.A., he had a night too. I mean, I know I mentioned several others, but that guy just continues to do it at the plate. He also got hit in the butt right there where he had that pad in the back, which I thought was kind of funny. But how about that performance from Houston Harding and Preston Johnson?
Well, and Bo, I think, look, everybody's got a different mental makeup, but for Mississippi State to watch what happened in the first inning yesterday, and then from that point on, we've seen 17 innings of this incredible pitching from a host of guys who aren't necessarily like your A1 guys all year long, right? Outside of Preston Johnson, most of those guys had not been high leverage guys, and yet now you're sitting on 17 innings and you've allowed 3 runs after giving up 7 in 1 inning.
Right. No, that's a good point.
You can't overstate the importance of Houston going forward. And I thought the 4th inning was the biggest one, though, and you know it too. 2 men on, you're only up 4-1 or 5-1. A base hit scores 2, and Vanderbilt's right back in that thing. And Harding goes strikeout of a guy he already gave up a home run to, gets out of the inning, and Preston takes it 80 pitches and 5 innings later. Yeah,
they were both special. They were really, really good last night, and then the bats were. Everybody even Rowdy got involved in the end, but I don't think people worry as much about Rowdy. But to see Lane Forsythe and Luke Hancock and some of the other guys hit the baseball, that was a big deal. That was huge, and so now we have. I guess the question, Blake, is can they generate some base runners against Kumar Rocker?
Yep, that's it.
I mean, can they at least make him uncomfortable a little bit?
Yep.
When he settles in and starts dealing, and gets into rhythm, what he can do. And so Kumar is on 4 days rest. Bednar is on 3 days rest.
Yep. And I thought
how
it was
big a factor is that?
Well, I thought it was interesting last night how Dari Noka pointed out, look, this is what Kumar will be doing in the Major League Baseball, season in 4 months. He'll be going on 4 days rest every time. So You're talking about a kid that's built already like a major leaguer. I look for Kumar to have a longer leash than Will Bednar by maybe 20, 30 pitches today.
I agree.
Which means you got to get to him early. You have to get him out early.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, and if you can work the count, you got to work the count tonight. But it's going to be fun. I mean, these are 2 aces going at it, 2 absolute ballers, and both projected to go in the first round, Blake.
Yeah, I think this is one of the rare times in the College World Series final series where we actually get to pit ace versus ace, and it's everybody's bullpen is healthy. That's the thing. Vanderbilt, just like Mississippi State in Game 1, Vanderbilt did not burn their top 3 guys yesterday. So it's going to be ace versus ace, top bullpen versus top bullpen. And it's just going to be, best versus best, which is what you want in Game 3 of the World Series.
And I would think Landon Sims can go 60 pitches if need be. So, that's something to, consider and think about too. All right, the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, is brought to you by Eye Care Professionals. Dr. Kirk Jeffries and the team on Lakeland Drive. Blade-free LASIK and cataract surgery. Eye Care Professionals. The show is also presented by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. MississippiSportsMedicine.com. We're live from Omaha, Nebraska. Game 3, winner take all of the College World Series. You're listening Out of Bounds. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, WRKS. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. Steve Robertson, 9:30. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Boar's Head, premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere. All right. Will Bednar, Kumar Rocker tonight, Game 3 winner take all, the College World Series for the National Championship. Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Superior Foundation for all your foundation repairs. Superior Foundation, superior.ms, Superior Foundation for all your foundation repairs. The show is also presented by the outstanding New York-style pizza at Sal and Mookie's, their new location, the District in Eastover, and, of course, their wood-fired pizza at Bravo Italian Restaurant and Bar. Our College World Series coverage this week has been brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Favorites.com, F-A-V-E. Bo Bounds, Blake Scott with you, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, WRKS, streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. Show is also presented by the Charbroiled Oysters at Drago's Seafood Restaurant and Oyster Bar, and Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Blake, what is the ideal number against Kumar tonight? I mean, what is the ideal scenario the first 3 to 4 innings for Mississippi State?
I think what you said earlier, and it's kind of like what happened yesterday and what happened against Mississippi State in Game 1. You've got to work that pitch count and just force him to make great pitches. I mean, Rocker's a great pitcher, so force him to make great pitches. Work that count. Just be within yourself and try to get on base. I think last night you saw it was just string after string, walk, hit, walk, hit. You know, you kept pressure on. That's going to be the way you get to Kumar Rocker, not just one long ball.
Yeah. I'm reading his 2021 Major League draft profile, and his strengths go on and on for days, right? Mid to high 90s fastball. He has a secondary pitch. He throws a nasty mid-80s slider with a sharp break. It's rated plus, by the way, at its sharpest. And then he throws a low 80s curveball, and it breaks. Its break is vertical. His weakness, according to this MLB profile, if you want to say he has one, he needs to work on his command first and foremost, and his changeup. He doesn't use it much, and he'll have to develop that at the Major League Baseball level. Not sure how much that will matter tonight in college baseball. When you have two filthy pitches, you can go a long way. As Blake was talking about, make him uncomfortable, make him work for it, and so on. On the other side of it, I wonder how long Will Bednar will go. 80 pitches? Can he go 80, 90 pitches tonight?
Ooh,
I would think so.
That would be a lot.
You think so?
I think that's a lot. I mean, I think, will he want to? Yes. If he's efficient, can he do it? Possibly. But you got to wonder, I think that State has enough in the bullpen.
Well, let me jump in. Let me jump in. They have been so conservative with their pitchers this year.
Very true. Very true.
My goodness. I mean, if you haven't built up for this, Bednar's had a bunch of 60 and 70 and 80 pitch outings, okay? So they have been so conservative with this staff, which is, they've got everybody. As you said, Bednar's ready to go. He should be ready to go on 3+ days of rest. Landon Sims should be, they were conservative with Landon Sims until the postseason. They've been super conservative with Bednar. They've got some other options. So if you want to take February 15th to today, this staff has been really, really conservative, Blake, with their pitchers.
No, you're right, and I think we've seen that work incredibly well with the Landon Sims side of things. This will be the first time we see Bednar go on short rest. I'm with you. I think if Bednar's feeling it, you got to let him ride because he's not going to pull himself out. That's for dang sure, right? So
No.
if he's doing well and your offense is at least keeping you, where you want to be compared to what Vanderbilt's doing against Bednar, then yeah, I mean, you got to let it ride. And I'm of the opinion that you don't want to see Landon Sims until the 8th inning, not because he can't go 3 innings, but because I think he's just traditionally been so much more effective on like a 6-out appearance than a 9-out appearance. And so give me if I can get Will Bednar for 5-6 innings and get an inning out of somebody, and then go to Landon Sims in the 8th and 9th, or at most 7th, 8th, and 9th. I mean, that's your recipe for success.
Yeah, and look, also kudos to the staff, the way that they were conservative this year. You could argue that played into their favor last night. Like Houston Harding and Preston Johnson were ready to go and go that long because of the way the staff managed them since February 15th, right?
No doubt. And it was just, I mean, you can't overstate after coming in to the series in what felt like a whole pitching staff-wise. At the end of the day, I think Chris Lemonis would have told you, if I can be in Game 3 with Will Bednar on the bump, forget how Game 1 and 2 goes. Let's just skip to Game 3, right? Because this is where you wanted to be, regardless of whether you won Game 1 or won Game 2. You figured you were going to need 3 games either way.
But I think the other key factor he would tell you today is the fact that he didn't have to use Landon Sims in a win last night. So not only, I mean, they didn't win 8-7 and have to use Landon Sims for 40 pitches. So he has not pitched since Saturday. I mean, he's going on 3 days rest too, which is huge.
He's full healthy. Yeah, absolutely. Full healthy. Landon Sims is he can give you everything he's got in the tank and then some, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is it. There's no for tomorrow or this weekend. Same thing with Vandy, with Kumar, and the other 3 guys you referenced earlier, Blake, that they have ready to go, especially 2 of them. This is it, and this is why it's so exciting. This place is off the chains. The Mississippi State people last night in the Hilton lobby. So I went by there after the game to have a Coors Light and soak it all in, and oh my! And there were thousands of people. It's a nice hotel, huge lobby, great bar and everything. And then you had the star power of Dak, Jeffrey Simmons, Rafael Palmeiro. Yeah. And it was just off the chains. It was just crazy to
let me
see
ask
people.
You this real quick. Let me ask you, built on what you're talking about. You remember 13. I didn't come up here for 13. I can't remember if you did or not. But you've watched a lot of Omaha series, even before this last run. Have you ever seen a crowd? And I asked some people who worked there for everywhere from 3 years to 10 years, and they answered me. But have you ever seen a crowd so obviously one-sided at a neutral site for a title game like this? It's remarkable what that stadium atmosphere was like last night.
You're right. And it got going early, and they stayed in it, and they stayed all the way through, even on a 13-2 win. That's a great point. And, will the crowd be a factor tonight? It could be. I mean, look, Kumar is he's pitched on the number 1 travel ball team in the country. He's been in all the showcases. Everywhere he's pitched, he's got 97 scouts, all of that. He's got a great DNA, an incredible competitive makeup and edge. But it looked to me like, Blake, some of the Vandy pitchers last night were uncomfortable, once things got going. Now, that may not impact a Leiter or a Kumar, but if you can get past Kumar, I don't know. Maybe you rattle a pitch.
No, I'm with you. Look, and Kumar did not pitch well his first game. Vanderbilt was very lucky to beat Arizona in 12 innings on some crazy walk-off magic. So, I'm of the opinion that you don't beat Kumar, you beat the guy behind him, but you got to get through Kumar to get to the guy behind him.
Yeah. Hey, Blake, I appreciate it, man. Get some vitamin C.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Make sure to get some vitamin C. You sound a little, you've been laying it on the line. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Bank Plus. Bank Plus, it's more than a name. It's a promise. Will's live in the Bank Plus studio. Steve Robertson coming up next. on the Modelo guest line. Steve Robertson on the Modelo guest line. Next. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is presented by Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Your golf game starts with Edwin Watts Golf Shop. All right. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome in. Live from Omaha, Nebraska and the College World Series winner take-all tonight. Mississippi State with a monster win last night, 13-2. Houston Harding and Preston Johnson were unbelievable against Vanderbilt. And the Dogs hit up and down the lineup. And we got a game 3 with Will Bednar and Kumar Rocker tonight. On the Deuce at 6 o'clock. CWS National Championship Series winner take all. Your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Bank Plus. Bank Plus, it's more than a name, it's a promise. Also presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Show is also presented by the Men's Clinic in Madison. Visit themanthing.com. If you feel like you're low testosterone, low T, you can call the Men's Clinic in Madison and schedule a free blood test at the Men's Clinic in Madison. Themanthing.com. Dr. Mike Manning and Dr. Cliff Adams will take care of you. That's the Men's Clinic in Madison, and themanthing.com is their website. You're listening to 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, WRKS. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. Our guests join us on the Modelo guest line, and we welcome in Steve Robertson, genespage.com, the Boneyard Podcast. Steve, unbelievable bounce back and response from the Mississippi State team last night, and I thought it all started with Houston Harding.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I mean, that was one of the things we had talked about is, Houston is a competitor. He's got some dog in him. The moment's not going to be too big for him. He's going to go out there and pound his own. He's going to mix and match, change speeds. Exactly what he did. He made the one mistake in Rodriguez, but, just tremendous. And I think he probably could have got another inning in, but, when he sat as long as he did when State put those 4 runs up, I thought that kind of, probably stiffened him up a little bit. But, man, what a great job getting out of a jam there in the 4th and kind of keeping the game where it was. And Preston Johnson with the performance of a lifetime. I mean, just an absolutely perfect relief appearance from him. And, they couldn't do anything with him until the game was well decided. I mean, you're up 13-1 there in the 9th and 2 outs, and you're just trying to get the game over. And he gives up the tank and turns around and waves goodbye to it. It was just that kind of night where you could laugh that kind of thing off.
So, Steve, this staff has really managed the coaching staff has been, conservative, which a lot of people in the game think is good. And I think you could say that it paid off last night with Houston Harding and Preston Johnson's performance. They were not abused or used too much since February 15th. So you were able to respond. And I think you got to tip your cap to the staff as far as what they've done since February. Fast forward to tonight. They've been conservative with every pitcher, including Bednar and Landon Sims. What do you think Bednar can do on 3 days rest, considering he doesn't have a lot of 110, 125 pitch performances starting in February, Steve?
Yeah, I think he's still got some juice left. And again, this is probably Mississippi State's toughest starting pitcher. And I don't just mean that from a stuff standpoint. Just mentally, he is a guy that is going to go out there and pound the zone and make you swing the bats. And he gets a ton of swing and miss. And there is a ton of swing and miss in the Vandy lineup. But to your point, Scott Boxall told me earlier in the year that he would never make the same mistake that he made with Ethan Small. And what he meant by that was earlier in the year, they let him get deeper in the games and pitch over 100 pitches. And by the time we got to Omaha, he was rolling on fumes. they've managed this thing so well, and they've had the depth where they can kind of spread some of the workload out. And as a result, you've got guys now that you really need them to get extended innings, they're able to do that and throw effectively. And so there was a plan in place from the very beginning of, what we want to be playing our best baseball at the end of the year. And Mississippi State certainly is. And Chris Simonis and Foxhall and Jake Gautreaux and Kyle Cheeseborough deserve all the credit for that because they didn't overuse the pitchers, but also, too, they found roles for everybody. That was the thing you begin to think about. Beginning of the year, Braylon Skinner was expected to be the starting left fielder, breaks the ball in his hand. They still found a way to utilize him, even though he's behind the rest of the squad when it comes to at-bats. Josh Hatcher was a guy who was excellent defensively, but for some reason the hitting didn't come together this year. But you take Luke Hancock, who's just a ball player, and over time, when you realize you've got an issue at first, you begin to practice him at first, and look at what they've become now. And so they have made a lot of adjustments on the fly, and I think the staff has done a remarkable job. And here you are playing in the last college baseball game of the season. And I'm reminded of the very first interview I did with Logan Tanner this year. And I talked about, how good can you guys be? What's your goal? And he said, we want to be the last team to win. He said, that is our only goal. We want to be the last team to win. And so now here we are, 12 hours away from having an opportunity to do that.
Podcast on the Modelo guest line. Steve, Landon Sims, you feel like he could go 60 pitches if need be tonight?
I think he can go as long as he wants to. I think, there's a lot of emotion involved in this, but I think not using him last night meant everything. I mean, that's the job Preston Johnson does, is he's able to save all those other arms. And, you give the Bulldog offense a lot of credit, too, for extending the game and kind of giving him some margin to work with. And they didn't have to use him, and they've had to throw Sims in every win since they've been here because they've all been one-run ball games. But here you are now, on Wednesday, and he's had the benefit of some additional rest. And I think that's going to bode well for State too. You just got to find a way to bridge it from Bednar, to Sims. How deep can Bednar go? Can he give you 5? Can he give you 6? Because I think you and I both know if they get into the 7th, it's going to be white snake time and Landon Sims there in the 7th.
Love it. Steve Robertson just dropped some White Snake, arguably one of the top 5 bands of all time. You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Let's go to Kumar. What is the approach at the plate for Mississippi State? I mean, this guy is unbelievable. We know how talented he is. He's one of the best in the country, and he'll be a top 2 or 3, 5 pick in the MLB draft. What is the approach tonight for Mississippi State with Kumar Rocker?
You got to lay off the slider. That's what he is so dominant with, and he is one of the best to ever do it in the college game. I mean, ordinarily you don't see guys with that type of ability even come to college, but he's done that, and he's just such a freak of an athlete. Now, I've shared with people before, it's one thing to see him on TV, but when you're shooting field level and you go down there and you see what a freak of an athlete he is, it just kind of blows your mind. And what is he, 14-3? I mean, it's remarkable to see how well he's pitched, but the teams have been able to beat him. Our teams have been able to kind of pass on that slider, biting down and out of the zone. That's where I think the short rest thing comes into. There's some Vandy people that even after they won the ball game on Monday, they were concerned State was going to win the series because they knew they didn't have any additional pitching outside of Leiter and Rocker that were good enough to win a College World Series final game, and you saw that yesterday. And they were waving the white flag middle of the ball game. You're kind of throwing freshmen and younger guys. But with Rocker, you got to grind him out a little bit because as hard as he throws, he does have a tendency to get a little bit wild, but he'll leave some balls up. And so if you make him throw his breaking stuff in the zone, you can hit it. If you leave it alone out of the zone, then you can grind that pitch count up and get into the bullpen. But listen, they got everybody in the bullpen available just like State does. Maldonado, McIlvain, those guys are all good. This is going to be what college baseball needs, and it's going to be the last 2 teams, the 2 best teams in college baseball with most of their best arms still available against a couple of offenses that are really good, but not necessarily elite. And so I think State just got to have a plan and stick to the plan and try to get into that bullpen.
Who do you think could bridge the gap between Bednar and Sims tonight?
Yeah, those are things that keep me up. It's like you begin to think about that stuff. then you kind of wonder. I mean, are you going to need one inning? You're going to need 2 innings, and and again, this Vanderbilt offense, there's just not a lot of trick or treat type stuff in the group. And what I mean by that, there's nobody that really scares you. Outside of maybe Carter Young, who has really struggled in Omaha. Do you look at this lineup and say, okay, we got to pitch around this guy? There is no J.J. Evil Day or our Swanson guy in this lineup that could kind of turn a game around for you. Now, if you go out there and walk the ballpark, you're going to get beat. But I think probably maybe it's Brandon Smith. Maybe it's Parker Stinnett. I think a lot of it's just going to kind of depend on what the margin in the game is. I mean, if it's 1 run or a tie ball game, somebody's going to have to go out there and give you an inning or two to get to Sims. And maybe Bednar, with what he has available to him, if he's getting a ton of swing and miss and he fills up to it, maybe he can get you 6. I mean, that's probably a best case scenario, is you get 6 from Bednar and then 2 or 3 from Sims. And I really believe if State gets to Sims in a tie ball game or with an advantage, you're going to win an national championship.
What? Okay. What? Steve Robertson, the Boneyard Podcast on the Modelo guest line. You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show. We're live from Omaha, Nebraska. College World Series tonight. Winner take all. Game 3. Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. Will Bednar on the mound for MSU, and of course Kumar Rocker on the bump for the Vanderbilt Commodores. If you look at the Mississippi State lineup, who specifically could match up well against Kumar?
Tanner Allen. Your horses. I mean, that's the thing. You really want to take advantage of that righty-lefty matchup whenever possible. You leave a fastball up to Kellum Clark, he's going to put you on SportsCenter. And he had some decent swings last night. I think he's a guy that's kind of growing up in front of us, but at times he gets a little bit impatient. But if he can sit there and work a count and get a fastball he can handle, I think he could be a real difference maker. And I feel, listen, everybody knows that his best baseball is ahead of him, but the way that he has contributed in the postseason has been outstanding. But I think Scott DeBrule is a guy that we talked about yesterday. I mean, in order for State to win this game, you just kind of felt like you had to have a contribution from him. And what does he do? He goes out and gets you 4 RBIs. And this is a guy that was at Jacksonville last year, and wouldn't even be in school right now without that extra COVID year, and decided to take advantage of it. And the very first time I interviewed him, he said, well, the reason I want to go to Mississippi State is I want to have a chance to go to Omaha and win a national championship. And then, when State needed him the most, he's out there making hay with the bases loaded. And so, I just think there's some left-handers in this lineup, that given the opportunity with some pitches to hit, they can handle them. It's not the velo that bothers you. And that's the thing I think some people, they see Kumar up there and big and strong, as athletic as he is. Listen, you see 95, 96 regularly in the SEC. It's the fact that he can tunnel that slider on you really, really makes them difficult, because you're thinking fastball all the way, and next thing you know, you're missing it by 2 feet because it just drops out of the zone. Well, that slider's not nearly as effective left-handers. And so I think that's where State's got to really turn this thing around and make some hay, is having those left-handed bats go up there and really, 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 really have meaningful at-bats and then cash in, not just run pitch counts up, but you got to win the battle and get on base.
Kumar Rocker doesn't, I don't get the sense that that the crowd could get to him tonight. He's been on the number 1 travel ball team, Steve. He's ever since his junior year in high school, he's had 92 scouts in the stands and so on. But the crowd was a factor last night, and I did think that it rattled some of the Vanderbilt players in the field and on the mound. Am I wrong there on Kumar and the crowd? How do you see it?
Yeah, he's got a lot of mental toughness. He's not a guy that's going to get out there and all of a sudden start doubting himself. I mean, this is a guy that's very self-aware and self-assured. He's going to be a multimillionaire here in about 4 weeks, But, I think the main thing, for State is, when the crowd takes over like that, it really shows up, when it's 3-1, 2-2, that sort of stuff. And the pressure's on Vanderbilt. I mean, let's be honest about that. They're the defending national champions. They got absolutely shelled last night, and you can say what you want to. Well, they didn't have the pitching. When you look up at that scoreboard and you're having to walk out there and go swing a bat, and it's 13-1 on national television when the world is watching you, and you think a lot of yourself and have a lot of pride in your program, it's going to irritate you. And I think there's a lot of pressure on Kumar, throwing on short rest. And, what's amazing to me, too, and I don't know why we've had to be so coy and secretive about pitching, because we have known in Omaha for the better part of a week that Kumar was going to throw that game against NC State, and that Leiter was not going to throw on Saturday, that it would probably be Christian Little or Riley, and then it would be Jack on Monday, and then Riley or Little on Tuesday, and Rocker on Wednesday. But for some reason, Corbin hadn't wanted to confirm any of that stuff. And I don't know what you gained from any of that, because everybody knows what's going to happen. But, the expectation is that Kumar's going to go out and throw a good ball game. But what happens when he faces some adversity earlier? And you go look at the Georgia game, when they were able to get on him and get him to elevate that fastball, they absolutely turned on it. So when he does make a mistake, State's got to make him pay for it.
Let's talk about Lamonas, Foxhall, and Gautreaux today. They're all really good. This is a heck of a staff that Mississippi State has. Obviously, Corbin is excellent, and they have been here before, and they've won 2 national championships. But just walk everybody through what this staff, can do both last night and today to put everybody in position to be the best they can be against Vanderbilt in Game 3. Steve.
Well, the first thing that I'll say is the way Lamonas handles this is he doesn't micromanage every detail. He goes out and hires the best coaches that he can get, and then he lets them do their jobs, and he supports them. I mean, you never hear about, Lamonas jumping into a pitching situation and pulling rank, or out there telling Gautreaux, let's do this. He lets those guys coach, and I think as a result, you have this esprit de corps, which is very helpful for the team, because there's not this bitterness. You know what I mean? There's not this, this power struggle within the coaching staff, and I think that's evident. And these kids will run through a wall for that staff. I mean, you ever see somebody be critical of one of the coaches, and sometimes the players, and maybe they shouldn't be so cognizant of that, but they defend their staff. And, they've just done a great job figuring out what guys can do well and how they can make a positive contribution. I had somebody tell me last night, when you're coaching college, sometimes you got to go get in a kid. And they say that Chris knows exactly how to do that without shutting the kid down for 2 weeks. That he can go get on a kid because he's built up some currency, because he shows that he cares about him. Cam James is a guy that, I learned when he was struggling a little bit, decided to blue one day, and Lamonas texted him and say, listen, I just want you to know you're on my mind, and listen, we're not going to go win a national championship without Kamren James, and you're my guy. You don't need to worry about your spots. You just need to relax and go play baseball. And that ended up being a bit of a turning point. I've talked to Cam's family, and they were surprised. They're like, hey, not that they didn't expect Lamonas to be a caring guy, but just on his own, he reaches out to a guy that's struggling and tries to help him get his mind right. Just reassure him, hey, you're a great player. You're going to do big things here at Mississippi State, and we need you. Well, then what happens? He goes out in the postseason, wins the most outstanding player of the NCAA regional, and he's been really good here in Omaha. And he hits the home run off Leiter, and I think everybody says, okay, here we go. It turns out to be the only highlight of the night. But if he mismanages that with Cam James, if Cam James goes into a show, we're already at home right now.
Steve Robertson, the Boneyard Podcast, genespage.com, on the Out of Bounds show and the Modelo guest line. Speaking of Cam James, Steve, isn't he draft eligible because of age? Or I may be wrong there. Is he?
No, yeah, he is. We just don't think he'll get drafted high enough to go. Of course, that's a concern, because I think Cam James' best baseball is ahead of him, and I think next year, he'll be the Tanner Allen, Rowdy Jordan guy that's kind of leading this program. But yeah, he is draft eligible. It's just going to boil down to where he goes and how much money he's got to consider. But the good thing is, is Cam's not in a situation where he has to come out. He's got plenty of leverage. He's a freshman. That's the thing you look at. He's a COVID freshman, so he's still got 3 years of eligibility, so he has a lot of leverage to work with there.
All right. Anything else? Final prediction? Anything else on your mind about the game tonight?
Well, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game just because of the pitchers that are available, and I think really it's going to boil down to who makes the big mistake. There's going to be – it's not going to be, the marquee matchup perhaps that it would be with Rocker and Bednar under different circumstances. But this is going to be about toughness, and this is going to be about going out there and playing your game and executing a plan and not letting the emotions get the better of you. And I believe State's going to do it. I think at this point, especially after last night, I think State went out and made a statement last night. It is a very vulnerable Vandy offense, and if you don't help them, you're going to win the ball game. And State has the two guys available that just simply don't help teams available. And I think if you get the pitching performance you expect, the Mississippi State fans will be celebrating the national championship tonight.
We'll leave it there. Steve Robertson, the Boneyard Podcast, genespage.com on the Modelo guest line. Steve, we appreciate your time. Thank you, man.
See you soon.
All right, so that was a good interview with Steve Robertson, walking through Will Bednar and Kumar Rocker and what could happen tonight. I can't wait. What are we going to do between now and 6 o'clock? Holy smokes. That's the deal with being out here is, piecing it together hour by hour to get to the game. I had somebody ask me last night. It was funny. We got a big kick out of it. They went, well, are you going to go to the zoo? I'm not going to the zoo. I've already done the zoo stuff with my kids when they were little. But, I got to share this story with you. Sean on Twitter, this is incredible. Sean on Twitter flew out here yesterday, and he left late in the afternoon. He bought a one-way ticket with no ticket for tomorrow's game, which is today, for the third game. And not knowing if Mississippi State would win or not because he would be in an airplane. And then, of course, they won to take it to Game 3, and he just tweeted to us a picture of his ticket. So I'd say that's a pretty serious gung-ho fan right there to book a plane ticket one way from Jackson to Omaha, to be in the air during some of the game and you're not flying out for Game 2. Okay. Then you land, the Dogs win, extend the series to Game 3, and you buy a ticket for Game 3 today. Pretty cool. He tweeted all that to us the last 24 hours or so. And so that takes some stones and some belief. And Mississippi State answered the bell, so to speak, last night. It's cool to see Dak Prescott in the stands. That guy loves him some Mississippi State. I mean, he's not just there because he's the, biggest name and celebrity to come through the school. He's there cheering his tail off. How cool was it when that guy was able to throw the ball up to Dak? Did he call it a foul ball? And Dak, so he throws it up to Dak, and Dak signs it, tosses it back to him. I thought that was pretty cool, too. All right, guys, good luck getting anything done today. Yep. That's probably not going to happen. You have, what am I looking at? 8 hours. I have no idea what I'm going to do. So, although I feel like I've been here for 3 months. We'll be jumping on a plane tomorrow morning. So, no show, but that I know of. It's not going to work out because my plane is 9:30 a.m. But we'll be back on, what is tomorrow? Thursday? Friday, I guess. Friday on the Out of Bounds show. Will, thanks, buddy. Thanks for listening to the Out of Bounds show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We'll see you Friday, I guess.
My favorite hobby used to be working out at the gym with my son. When I injured my wrist, it took me away from the gym and away from quality time with my son. My super surgeon at Mississippi Sports Medicine repaired my wrist and got me back to doing what I love. I'm a super dad because I have a super surgeon. 20 physicians, 7 subspecialties, and 1 focus. You, Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center.